Singapore, city-state located at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula, about 85 miles north of the equator. It consists of the diamond-shaped Singapore Island, peninsular Malaysia to the north by Johor Strait, a narrow channel crossed by a road and rail causeway that is more than half a mile long. The southern limits of the state run through Singapore Strait, where outliers of the Raya archipelago, which forms a part of Indonesia, extend to within 10 miles of the main island.
The economy of Singapore is a highly developed free market economy. Singapore's economy has been ranked as the most open in the world, the third least corrupt, most pro-business, and with low tax rates. According to Heritage.org, Singapore's economic freedom score is 89.4, making it the world's freest economy in the 2020 index. Its overall score is unchanged from 2019, with a small improvement in the business freedom score offset by a small decline in the government integrity score. Singapore is ranked first among 42 countries in the Asia-Pacific region, and its overall score is well above the regional and world averages. The country is ranked among the freest economies in the world over the life of the index, but gains the top spot this year for the first time. Its sustained performance has resulted in one of the world's highest per capita incomes and solid rates of GDP growth.
Spanning 42 kilometers from east to west and 23 kilometers from north to south, Singapore is a small yet densely populated place on the world map. With almost 5.8 million people living in around 697 square meters, Singapore is a city-state packed with a great variety of people and culture. Back in 1960, the population of Singapore stood at 1.7 million people. In the last half of the century, the population has seen a change of 222% as reported by the Statistics of Singapore. The country grew by over 3.6 million people over the last 50 years and reached an all-time high of 5.81 million in 2018. Statistically, 0.08 of the world's population is represented by Singapore, which translates to one person in every 1,346 on Earth living in Singapore. This population of Singapore is a melting pot of complementary ethnic groups, consisting of 77% Chinese, 14% Malay, 8% Indians, 1% Eurasian, plus a sprinkling of people of other descent, though each of these racial groups still remain distinctive. For instance, in celebrating their own festival and religious event, they open-heartedly share and celebrate other cultures too. This acceptance, sensitivity, and respect for other culture is in clear contrast to the strained ethnic relation that exists within many of its neighboring countries.
Okay, so we'll be talking about the culture in Singapore. So, generally speaking, Singapore's culture is actually a mix of multiple ethnic influences like the Chinese, Malay, Indians, and a lot more. This can be observed by the amount of languages spoken in the country. Since Singapore is a multilingual state that has 4 official languages, which are Malay, English, Indian, and Chinese, although they consider Malay to be their national language. So we'll be talking about 5 aspects of culture in Singapore. So first, we have the religion. So there's a diversity in religion in Singapore, but the most prevalent or the major religion in Singapore is Chinese Buddhism due to large population of Southern Chinese immigrants. But Hinduism is also prevalent for those with South Indian heritage. On the other hand, Christianity is also growing due to young Singaporeans leaning more towards the values taught in Christianity. So second, we have Kiasu. One interesting concept about Singaporean culture is Kiasu. Since Kiasu is a Singaporean concept that relates to the fear of losing or the desire to be first in competitions. So this isn't only available for competitions but also negotiations. So basically, Kiasu pertains to the competitiveness of Singaporeans when it comes to competitions, which some say keep standards high, but on another level, it may lead to a graceless society due to it promoting an increase in pride and struggles, and mostly fights. So third, we have the class system. There's actually a wide class difference in Singapore, which they can be divided either by wealth and income or by their ethnicity. But the country is more differentiated with the latter, since there are numerous ethnic groups which apparently ethnic groups have experienced an upward occupational mobility, and Singaporeans also value grades and good marks, so it can be said that Singaporean is a meritocracy, meaning your abilities and your skills determine your placement in society. Fourth, we have architecture. Singapore's architecture is actually pretty interesting. So Singapore is known for its striking high-rise buildings. It boasts modern architecture with the roots in the functionalism of the 1960s, and later on there was more diversity. There was more diversity in building styles. Even with the rise of high-rise buildings and modernism, Singapore still prioritizes cleanliness above everything else. It's considered as one of the cleanest countries in the world, and also chewing gum is banned in Singapore to maintain cleanliness, and only a limited amount of chewing gums are allowed, which has to be prescribed by a dentist. So lastly, we have Singapore's etiquette. Just like any other Asian country, older people are ideally treated with respect. A person's wealth and status can also be taken into account, wherein a person that holds an important position or a person with authority are treated with more formality than others. So overall, Singapore's culture is a celebration of diversity in all its elements. When you look closely, Singapore is a merger or a union of different heritages that in turn define the true culture of Singapore.
Singapore became the 117th member state of United Nations on 21st September 1965. This was an important milestone for the country, as the membership in the UN conferred international recognition on Singapore as a sovereign and independent state. As a UN member, Singapore also took on leadership roles by presiding over many UN conferences. These includes the UN Conference on Environmental and Development, or the Earth Summit in 1992, the World Trade Organization (WTO) Ministerial Conference in 1996, and the World Intellectual Property Organization (WIPO) Diplomatic Conference in 2016. Singapore maintains diplomatic relations in 189 countries. Although it may not maintain a high commission or embassy in many of those countries, it is a member of United Nations, the Commonwealth, ASEAN, and the Non-Aligned Movement. Singapore supports the concept of Southeast Asian regionalism and plays an active role in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, of which Singapore is a founding member. Singapore is also a member of a Nation-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, forum, which has still secretariat in Singapore. Singapore also belong to is the Asian Development Bank, the APEC, the ASEAN Bank for International Settlements, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, European Union, the World Bank, International Finance Corporation, U.S. Federal Reserve International Trading and Assistance for Bank Supervisors, IMF or International Monetary Fund, World Organization, World Health Organization, World Trade Organization.